You are 7 years old when the man in red whispers to your nurse that your brother is dead. Not sick. Not missing. Not asleep. Dead. And just like that, you are no longer the second son. You are the heir. The next king. And you hate it. The corridor outside your room smells of boiled beef and candle smoke. Somewhere, far off, bells are ringing. Not for joy. For mourning. But already, your tutors are waiting. Already, your father is watching. And already, you understand that your life is no longer yours. What does it mean to be a king's son in the year 1350? It means never being alone. From birth, you are handled like a relic. Dressed in wool trimmed with sable, your cries attended by wet nurses and whispering midwives. They measure your stool. They weigh your breath. When you finally learn to walk, it is on cold stone floors under painted ceilings, surrounded by guards who smile without meaning it. They say you are blessed. But you feel watched. You learn early that your name is not just yours. It is a banner, a weapon, a negotiation. Your signature means land. Your smile means favor. And your tears, never shown, mean danger. Because there are always others. Brothers. Uncles. Courtiers. Men who shake your hand while praying for your death. There are advantages, yes. Warm furs in winter. Almonds in summer. Tutors from Paris, from Rome. You read Latin before you lose your milk teeth. But there are no toys. No friends. And no laughter that isn't measured. Even the jester watches what he says around you. When you're 9, you are introduced to the blade. Not to fight, not yet. But to understand what it means to bleed. A goat is tied in the courtyard. You are told to end it. The knife is heavy. The blood is warm. The cheering is worse than the silence that follows. By 12, you know how to ride, how to bow, how to lie. Your back is straight, your voice deepens, your opinions are not yours. You are a collection of strategies wrapped in brocade. At 14, you are sent to the borderlands. To observe, they say. But really, to be seen. To remind the dukes and counts that power has a face, and it is yours. You smile until your jaw aches. You sleep with a dagger under your pillow. You learn to speak softly and listen harder. Your brother writes you letters. The youngest one. The one too sickly for court. He tells you of frogs in the pond, of hiding from tutors, of carving your name into the stable wall. You remember that wall. It is still there, somewhere behind you. A life that might have been. Then comes your 16th year. You return to court taller, sharper, more dangerous. The courtiers lean closer now. The maids bow lower. Your father begins to look at you not with pride, but calculation. You are no longer a child. You are a threat. And still, you are a prisoner. The walls are thicker now. The windows smaller. You know where the poison is kept. You know which cousin drinks too much, and which priest is being blackmailed. Every conversation is a performance. Every silence, a decision. What does it mean to be a king's son? It means knowing you are not a person. You are a possibility. A future that must be guarded, shaped, manipulated. And maybe, if you're lucky, survived. But to understand it, you must go back, to the morning after your brother died. This is where it truly begins. The first morning after your brother's death does not come with weeping or prayer. It comes with starch. 3 servants dress you in black wool. Not soft wool. Coarse, unforgiving, ceremonial. One pulls the tunic too tight. Another adjusts your collar until you gag. You want to speak, but the chamber is too quiet for words. Even your breath feels like a betrayal. They do not look at you as a boy. They look at you the way one looks at a candle on a windy night, useful, fragile, necessary. At breakfast, no one looks at you. Your father stares across the hall, eyes lost in the smoke of the hearth. Your mother picks at a fig, her hands trembling slightly. The only sound is the scraping of knives on trenchers and the occasional cough from your great-uncle, who smells like damp parchment and old regret. Even the food feels different. The bread is too soft, the cheese too sharp. Your appetite vanishes under the weight of their silence. Then he appears. Your youngest brother. Gaspard. He's 5, but walks like someone much older, slow, cautious, aware that the floor beneath him has teeth. He doesn't speak. He slides into his seat beside you, hands folded, eyes fixed on the wall. You remember when he used to babble about clouds and horses. But he's quiet now. He knows, even at 5, that something has changed. He doesn't look at you. Because you are no longer just his brother. You are the heir. And heirs are dangerous. The rest of the day unfolds in a fog of duty. You stand beside your parents in the cold hall of mourning, nodding silently as nobles pass and bow. Some offer condolences. Some offer nothing. All offer calculation. You are inspected more than comforted. Measured more than mourned. A boy your age from the house of Dielbret hands you a scroll sealed with wax. He says it is a prayer. You open it later and find a list of dowry options, written in a woman's hand. You are 7. And already, someone is choosing your wife. Later that day, you find Gaspard alone in the chapel. The candles are low. The air is thick with incense and old stone. He is standing before the statue of Saint Michael, gripping the hem of his tunic like he's afraid he'll be taken next. You sit beside him. You do not speak. You just sit. He looks up once, as if about to say something. But he doesn't. Just stares at the saint's sword carved in marble, forever raised but never striking. Because in that moment, you understand the truth. You are not just heir to a throne. You are the beginning of the end of someone else's childhood. And perhaps your own. The first lesson after death does not concern heaven or grief. It concerns the concept of legitimacy. You sit alone in the vaulted study. The walls are paneled in oak, darkened with centuries of piped smoke and secrets. The only light comes from a narrow window, where dust spins in the morning sun like tiny ghosts. Your tutor, Master Calvet, is the kind of man who smells of ink and dried sweat. His voice is slow, deliberate, and never kind. "Tell me," he says, tapping the page before you, "what makes a king?" You hesitate. The ink on your pen trembles. "God," you say quietly. He snorts. "A priest's answer. Try again." You glance at the window. The wind rattles the glass. "Blood?" He leans forward. "Now we are closer. But whose blood? A king's? A martyr's? A noble's?" You don't know. You say nothing. "Power," he says. "That's the answer. Power makes kings. Blood only gives others the excuse to accept it." He stands, walks behind you, and places a hand on your shoulder. Not warm. Not cruel. Just wait. "You will be washed now," he whispers. "They will smile, and wait. Wait to see if you are strong. Wait to see if you are like your brother. Or like your uncle. Or like a ghost." You nod. He places a fresh sheet before you. "Write a decree," he says. "Just pretend. Imagine it is winter. The peasants are starving. There is not enough grain. Do you open the stores? Raise the price? Let them eat bark and die. You freeze. Your hand does not move. Too slow," he says. And already they riot. He walks away, muttering. The dead do not hesitate. You sit there, pen in hand, staring at blank parchment. Your father never taught you to write mercy. Only math. Outside, bells toll again. For whom you do not know. But you suspect the sound is not mourning. It is warning. He returns after a time. Sits. Waits. Then he says, "They will ask you things you cannot answer. They will place you in riddles disguised as choices. Learn now, or learn when it's too late." You ask, finally, "What did my brother write?" Master Calvet pauses. "Letters," he says. "Little ones. Notes to servants. Requests for horses. For sweets." You wonder which of them is buried with him. Did he have doubts? All kings have doubts. The dangerous ones pretend they don't. You write, finally. "By decree of the crown, grain shall be measured and rationed, favoring the infirm, the young, and the winter-born." It is a small decision. The ink is thin. But Master Calvet nods. "Not wise," he says, "but readable." He leaves without another word. You stay long after he's gone, watching the ink dry, wondering if a real king would have burned the paper, and knowing somehow that mercy will cost you something. You dream of corridors that go nowhere, stone passages that twist into one another like vines. No torches, no doors, just the sound of your own steps and the knowledge that someone follows. Not close, not far, just enough. When you wake, the fire has gone out. The coals are gray, your blanket twisted, your mouth dry. It is the day of your first lesson in court manners. Not etiquette, not ceremony, but posture. A man named Jocelyn arrives just after dawn. Thin gray, not quite noble, not quite servant. He does not bow. He does not smile. He walks around you once, twice, 3 times. Then he lifts your arm without warning. "Too tense," he mutters. "This elbow thinks it's fighting. This wrist thinks it's forgotten." You are led to the practice hall. You expected swords. Instead, there are books balanced on chairs, a feather on a string, and a tray of teacups with sand in them. "You will walk across the room," Jocelyn says. "You will not spill. You will not look down. You will do it with meaning. You do it wrong. You do it again. And again. By the 5th try your feet ache. The cups tremble. The feather swings. By the 10th, you stop thinking about your brother. About your cousin. About your father's silence. All that exists is the next step. The next breath. The sting of failure. You are not a boy anymore. Jocelyn says, finally. You are not allowed to be. After the lesson, you are taken to the scriptorium. Not to study. To be seen. For monks work in silence. They do not look up. But they see. They always see. You pretend to read a Latin manuscript while your presence is noted, catalogued, discussed, later, when you are gone. One of the monks coughs. Twice. You've been told, 1 cough is illness. 2 is disagreement. 3 is a warning. You hear 2. Outside the scriptorium, a boy in servant's livery drops a bucket of lye. The splash nearly hits your boots. He kneels immediately, face pale. You want to say it's nothing. You want to help. You do nothing. Because Jocelyn is watching from the corridor. At supper, Gaspard is late. No one speaks of it. His chair remains empty. Your mother eats slowly, lips thin, chewing nothing. You reach for the bread. A hand stops you. Your father's. He looks at you. Then at the wine. You pour for him. He nods once. You take your bread after. It starts with a scream. You are not meant to hear it. You are meant to be reading psalms in the library alcove, under the eye of a sleepy tutor. but the sound cuts through stone and ink alike. A sharp, ugly sound. Human, but close to animal. You rise. You do not ask permission. The tutor begins to say something and then remembers who you are. The stables lie beyond the kitchen court, past the herb garden, where frost still clings to the rosemary. You move quickly, not running but close. 2 guards shadow you, too slow to stop you, too proud to call out. Another cry. Closer now. Then you see them. A stable boy, no older than yourself, pinned against a post. One arm twisted behind his back, his cheek pressed to splintered wood. Over him stands a knight, a household man, not noble, not common, but brutal in build. His gauntlet is raised. You do not recognize the boy. You recognize the knight. Sir Orvain, one of your father's lesser dogs. Loyal. Loud. Stupid. He stole oats. Someone mutters. A servant. Or maybe a squire. You don't know. The boy whimpers. Not words. Just sound. His knees shake. You step forward. Enough. The knight turns. His brow furrows. He does not kneel. My lord, this one. I said enough? Your voice is even. Not loud. But the tone is new. Even to you. Orvain hesitates. The gauntlet lowers. Slowly. This is a matter for the master of horse, he says. Not what? The silence after the question is thick. Someone shifts behind you. One of the guards. You look at the boy. His lip is bleeding. His eyes are wide, unblinking. Take him to the infirmary, you say. If he is guilty, the master will decide. If not, you will answer for it. Orvain's mouth opens, closes. He bows, finally. Shallow. The boy is pulled away gently by a groom. You turn. Walk back. You do not speak. At supper, Orvain is not present. His chair is empty. Your father eats without looking at you. Halfway through the meal, your mother says, "The oats were not stolen." You nod. Nothing more is said. That night, a loaf of bread appears at your door. No note. No mark. Just the bread. You do not eat it. But you do not throw it away. The queen's chambers smell of rosewater, wax, and something older, like linen folded too many times. You haven't been summoned here in months. When you enter, she does not rise. She is seated beside a brazier, a half-finished embroidery in her lap. A deer mid-leap, stitched in silver, outlined in blue. She does not look at you, only gestures. You sit. The brazier hisses. One coal collapses into another. You interfered today, she says. It is not a question. Yes. She nods once, barely. Was it worth it? You don't answer. She threads another needle, bites the tip. Her fingers are pale, but precise. This is not the nervous fiddling of a distracted woman. This is calculation wrapped in silk. When I was your age, she begins, I slapped a maid. For burning my chemise. She wept. I felt nothing. Later, I learned her brother worked in the kitchens. I had thin soup for 3 months. You blink. Unsure what to say. The world is not made of right and wrong, she continues. It is made of balance. You threw that off today. The words sting, but you say nothing. You think of the boy's face. Of the blood. Of the look Orvain gave you before backing away. I don't want to be like father, you say. She laughs. It's not cruel. Just tired. No one wants to be like their father. Until they're forced to become worse. A long silence follows. She puts the embroidery aside, looks at you properly. Do you love your brother? The question catches you off guard. Yes. Good. Then protect him. But not with honor. With position. With patience. The world does not reward the good. It consumes them. You nod. She leans back. When your father dies, she says, they will not wait for your crown to be forged. They will move in the dark, with knives wrapped in prayers. Be ready. You rise to go. As you reach the door, she adds, and stop reading Psalms. You're not a monk. Read Cicero. Learn what men really are. Outside, the air feels colder. Not because of winter. Because of truth. The bells ring at the wrong hour. Not for death. Not for mass. But for arrival. You are summoned before breakfast. No time for bread. No time for sleeves. A page shoves boots at you and your guards walk faster than usual. There is a hum in the stone. The castle has tilted slightly, as if leaning to listen. In the great hall, the banners have been shifted. The blue and gold of your house now hang beside something foreign, crimson with a silver lion. The lion's eye is shaped like a tear. He is already there. The ambassador. Tall, too tall. Pale like bone. Dressed in robes so clean they shine. His beard is thin, but his fingers are thick with rings. He bows low, but not quite enough. Your Majesty, he says to your father. Then, my lord, to you. You incline your head. The gesture means nothing. It means everything. He speaks of peace, of trade, of marriage. His voice is like warm wine, pleasant, but too rich. Your father listens. He does not nod. He does not blink. At one point, the ambassador presents a gift, a mirror framed in obsidian, said to show not your face, but your fate. It is passed to you. You see yourself. Then nothing. Then just your hand holding the mirror. Later, at the council table, the chamber is closed. The ambassador speaks in perfect Latin. Your father responds in clipped syllables. You are not asked to speak. But you watch. You watch as your uncle frowns slightly when the ambassador mentions rivers. You watch as Thierry toys with a wine cup when the word dowry is used. You watch as your mother folds her hands once, twice, 3 times. They are all speaking. But they are also playing. After, your father walks with you in the gallery. For the first time in weeks. He wants an alliance, he says. Yes. He wants you to marry his niece. You stop. She's 12. Not forever. Silence. Then, from your father, say no, and we lose 3 rivers. Say yes, and we gain 6. One of them flows silver. You say nothing. He looks at you. For once, not calculating. Just looking. You will be a better king than me, he says. But you will hate it more. The next day, you receive a letter. No seal. No name. Inside it reads, Mirrors lie. Rivers drown. Be careful where you look. The ink smells faintly of cloves. You burn the letter. But you remember every word. They call it a hunt. But there are no horns, no laughter, no chase. Only mist, and hoofbeats, and the sound of your breath under the trees. It is not night, not quite. Dusk hangs in the branches like torn cloth. The forest smells of rot and pine. You ride in a line, your father, your uncle, Thierry, 2 knights, and you. No dogs. No servants. This is not ceremony. This is ritual. Your father carries a crossbow. You carry nothing. No one speaks. The silence grows teeth. Branches claw at your cloak. Once your horse stumbles. Thierry catches your reins before you fall. He says nothing, but he smiles. A small, crooked thing. At the clearing, they stop. A stag is waiting, tethered, eyes wide, flanks shaking. You realize this is not a hunt. It is a test. Your father dismounts, hands you the crossbow. He does not speak. You know what this is. Not just a kill. A lesson. About silence. About strength. About what it means to take life without asking questions. The bolt is heavier than you expect. You step forward. Raise the weapon. The stag meets your gaze. Something in you shakes. Not your hands. Something deeper. You lower the bow. Behind you, a breath catches. You fire. The bolt misses. The stag cries out. Thrashes. Blood beads along its side, wounded, not dead. Your father takes the bow without a word. Fires. One clean shot. The stag drops. He walks past you. And so does everyone else. Thierry is last. As he passes, he leans close. Next time, he whispers, don't flinch. You stand alone. The forest is quiet now. But the sound of that scream stays with you. Long into the night. Even after the dream ends, you still hear it. Not the cry of the stag. Your own. The library is the only place where no one asks questions. No one watches. Not openly. The scribes are too old, the shelves too tall. The smell of vellum and oil keeps courtiers away. Too much dust. Too many words. You come here after meals, when your stomach is full but your thoughts are restless. Sometimes to read. More often to hide. Today, you are not alone. She is sitting at the far table. Not a noble. Her dress is wrong, plain wool, ink-stained sleeves. A servant, perhaps. Or the daughter of one of the scholars. You've seen her once before, maybe twice. Always at the edge of your vision. She is reading a book larger than her arms. Lips moving silently. Concentration deep enough to make the air around her still. You move to the next aisle, pretending not to look. You choose a volume at random. Ovid. Predictable. Heavy. You sit. Open the book. Turn one page. And then, you're holding it upside down. The voice is quiet. Dry. Amused. You glance up. She hasn't moved. You flip the book. Say nothing. She closes hers. Stands. Crosses to your table without invitation. Looks at the title. You're not really reading Ovid. No. She nods. A silence. Not awkward. Just strange. Like two animals sniffing the same wind. She sits. You're the one who missed the stag. You blink. Everyone knows, she adds. Half the servants bet on it. I lost 3 cloves. You should be angry. But you laugh. A small sound. Foreign. She smiles. Just a little. You're not what I expected. What did you expect? A prince. And what am I? Not sure. Still deciding. A shadow moves in the hallway. Footsteps. She rises. My name is Isabel. If anyone asks, I was never here. She's gone before you can answer. You stare at the empty seat. Then at the book in front of you. You read the first real sentence aloud. Softly. It is about exile. And the things we carry when we leave. Dinner is louder than usual. You notice it before you sit. The hum of voices, the scrape of too many utensils. Laughter that is too sharp, too sudden. Everyone is pretending not to look at you. The long table groans under the weight of dishes, venison in plum sauce, eel pie, almonds glazed in honey. Your father speaks only once, to nod at the bread. You break it. Pass it. Your mother wears her wine-colored dress. She only wears it when something is being decided. Thierry is seated across from you. He chews slowly, watching you between sips, as if waiting for something to fall. Halfway through the meal, Baron Veyrac leans forward. Plump, soft-voiced, always sweating. He dabs at his brow with a handkerchief and smiles at your father. Such good news about the ambassador's proposal, he says. A union like that would bring strength and peace. Your fork pauses in the dare. Your father does not answer. He does not need to. Veyrac's gaze slides to you. Though, of course, the prince's consent is still pending. All motion at the table slows. You place your fork down. Neatly. I was not aware it had been requested. A flicker of movement, your mother's fingers tightening around her goblet. Baron Veyrac chuckles. Youthful modesty. How noble. Someone at the far end coughs. Once. Twice. Thierry pours himself more wine. His hands are steady. I'm told the princess is charming, he says. Though quite young. She has a fine lineage, another voice adds. Strong alliances. You realize what this is. A cornering. Not official. Not binding. But public. Enough eyes, enough ears, consent becomes expectation. You reach for your goblet. Then change your mind. You stand. I thank you for your concern, you say evenly. But I am not yet in need of a wife. I am, however, quite in need of quiet. You leave the hall before anyone can stop you. Behind you, the voices rise again. Not laughter now. Just noise. In the corridor, Thierry catches up. He walks beside you in silence. Then, you've made an enemy of Veyrac. You nod. Good, he says. He was getting bored. The castle at night breathes differently. Walls that seemed stone now seem skin. Every torch flickers like a heartbeat. Every shadow bends. You wake without knowing why. A knock? A voice? A dream? You sit up. The fire in your chamber has died. The coals whisper faintly. Then, a second sound. Faint. Glass, maybe? Or footsteps. You rise. The corridors are colder than expected. No guards. No servants. Just you, the dark, and the quiet scuff of your slippers on worn stone. At first, you think it's nothing. Then you reach Gaspard's room. The door is open. Inside, the bed is empty. Sheets untouched. The candle near his desk has burned out. Panic is not sudden. It seeps. It thickens the air. You search the nursery. The kitchens. The chapel. Nothing. Finally, you remember the old tunnel behind the library, a forgotten space where you once hid together years ago. A child's secret refuge. You push aside the tapestry, crawl into dust. And there he is, Gaspard, curled in a ball, breathing fast, but not crying. He doesn't look at you. You sit beside him. The air smells of mildew and old parchment. I couldn't sleep, he says. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard the bells. You nod. I don't want to be the next, he whispers. Next what? Next in line. The silence between you is thick. You remember the mirror, the hunt, the weight of the crossbow. You won't be, you say. I'm still here. He finally looks at you. Will you stay? You nod again. You don't move for a long time. Later, when the servants find you both asleep on the cold floor, they say nothing. But the next morning, A fire is already lit in your chamber, and your father, for the first time in days, greets you with a nod. Not of affection, of recognition. The chapel is never empty. Even when no one prays, the air hums with leftover devotion. Wax and incense cling to every beam. The stone remembers every whispered sin. You come here alone, not because you believe, but because you need somewhere quiet to think thoughts no one should hear. An old priest sits in the far corner, thin as a broom handle, wrapped in wool. He does not look up. You kneel, not to pray, just to rest. The silence presses. Have you sinned? He asks without turning. You don't answer. You don't have to believe, he adds, only to wonder. I wonder all the time, you say. Then you're already halfway holy. You exhale. I don't want it, you say quietly. The throne, the name, any of it. The priest nods slowly. Neither did your grandfather. He drank himself to death. You glance at him. He smiles faintly. The walls remember more than the books. Silence again. What if I just left? You ask. Rode east. Changed my name. Then the crown would follow. Or the blade. You close your eyes. I don't know what I'm supposed to be. The priest finally turns. His eyes are cloudy, but sharp. You're supposed to be afraid. That's how you know you're still free. You leave a coin, though no one asked for one. On your way out, you pass a statue of Saint Oriel. Her hands are outstretched, but her face is turned away. You wonder if even the saints are tired of looking. That night you dream of a throne with no legs. Just a seat suspended above a pit. And the sound of bells, always bells, in a place with no sky. The gift comes without ceremony. A plain parcel, wrapped in oilcloth. No seal. No ribbon. Left on your writing desk before dawn. You find it after waking from a dream you can't remember. Inside, a book. Cicero's De Officiis. Bound in cracked leather. Old. Read many times. And something else. Tucked into the back cover, an envelope. Inside it, a single page, missing from the book. Torn neatly. Words inked in small, angular script. Duty is not a chain. It is a blade. You choose where to point it. You know the handwriting. Thierry. He has not spoken to you in 3 days. At meals, he smiles politely. At councils, he listens. He's present everywhere, and yet leaves no footprints. You stare at the page. A warning? A challenge? Or an invitation? You bring the book to the library. Isabeau is there. Same table. Same posture. She sees it. Cicero? She says. You must be in a terrible mood. You smile. She nods at the note. Careful. That kind of sentence can get you crowned. You sit together in silence. Later, you ask her what she knows of Thierry. She shrugs. Smart. Dangerous. Probably bored. You raise an eyebrow. Bored people do strange things, she says. Especially when they're too clever to just drink. The sun moves across the windows. You read a single page 5 times and absorb none of it. Before leaving, Isabeau places a small object beside your hand. A chess piece. The bishop. White. She doesn't explain. You don't ask. But that night you place it on your desk. Beside the book. And the torn page. And the growing sense that every move you make is already being studied. They call it an opportunity. A chance to lead, they say. A field assignment. A minor border patrol. 3 days. 10 men. Nothing serious. But the message is clear. This is your first command. You ride out at dawn. The air is brittle. Leaves cling to frost. The horses are restless, sensing your nerves. The men do not bow, but they nod. A different kind of respect. You remember their names. Adrian, Solon, Malco. One of them, Benoit, once trained your dogs. Another you recognize from the guard rotation near the kitchens. None of them speak much. By mid-morning you reach the river fork. A wide sweep of gray water and muddy banks. A peasant caravan is stuck, wheels sunk deep in the slush. The captain beside you mutters, "Best to keep moving." But you dismount. You help. So do the men. No orders needed. Just motion. The wheel is freed. The peasants bow low, offering bread and cider. You take none. That night, the campfire is quiet. Stars blink through bare branches. Benoit plays a tune on a bone flute. It's simple. Melancholy. You feel something you haven't in weeks. Solitude without loneliness. On the third day, you find the body. A poacher. Young. Barely older than you. Frozen stiff near the treeling. A rabbit still snared nearby. He stole from the wrong woods. Adrian waits for your command. Standard punishment, he says. Display the body. Warn the rest. You kneel beside the corpse. He has a scar under his eye. Fingers curled. Like he died clutching something. You rise. No display. You say. Bury him. Adrian hesitates. Quietly. Deep. Say a prayer if you like. The men obey. That night, no songs are played. But the fire is warmer. The silence feels earned. When you return, your father says nothing. Your mother watches you longer than usual. And a new blade appears in your chamber. Not ornate. Not ceremonial. Just sharp. And yours. You notice it first in the corridors. A hush, not silence, but something tighter. People walking faster. Eyes looking down. Voices clipped. Then you realize who is missing. Alan. Your chamber servant. The one who always warmed the water too hot. The one who always folded your linens with a mint leaf tucked inside. He is not at the basin. He is not in the servant's wing. You ask? A guard frowns. A steward coughs. Finally the truth. He took ill, my lord. But the pause before ill is too long. You press. Later you learn more. Not all at once. Pieces scattered like breadcrumbs. He had a cousin in the kitchens. He was seen speaking with a foreign page. He touched a cup meant for your father. You sit with this. It does not fit. Alan was soft. Nervous. He once cried when you burned your hand on a candle. He gave you his own scarf when your neck was sore. And now, he is gone. No burial. No farewell. Just gone. That evening, you find his scarf on your chair. Folded. Clean. Unscented. And a note unsigned. Be careful where you leave your kindness. It is the first thing they use against you. You stare at the fire. You think of poison. Of silence. Of how easily someone can disappear. Then you take the scarf. You do not wear it. But you do not throw it away. You place it beside the blade. And sleep without dreams. You don't plan to eat with Thierry. You find him in the solar. A fire already lit. A bottle of wine breathing. 2 cups. Bread, cheese, a plate of figs. He gestures, without smiling. You sit. For a time, neither of you speaks. He pours. You look tired, he says. You drink. So do you. He nods. It's a tired place. Filled with tired men. The fire snaps. I heard about Alan, he adds. You glance at him. I didn't know him well, Thierry continues. But I liked how he hummed when he worked. You weren't sure anyone else noticed. He leans back. Do you know why I never envy you? No. Because you're being shaped into something I already chose not to be. Silence. I could have fought for it, he says. The claim. The favor. But why? To be father's mirror? You say nothing. He looks at you and sees himself. That's why he flinches. You finish your cup. You said once I was too soft. Thierry shrugs. You were. Maybe still are. But softness isn't weakness. It's just visible. Easier to aim at. Another silence. This one softer. Then he stands. Walks to the window. You'll need allies. Real ones. Not titles. Not smiles. People who bleed when you do. He turns. I'm not offering friendship. I'm offering alignment. Until one of us falls. You rise. Look him in the eye. Noted. He nods. As you leave, he calls out. You still miss too often. Aim lower. You almost smile. Almost. It begins with a rumor. A cancelled hunt. A physician called at dawn. A servant seen burning bloody linens. You ask no questions. But that evening, when you're summoned to the king's chamber, you already know. The air inside is thick, scented with myrrh and boiled orange peel. Candles crowd the mantel. The windows are shuttered. Your father lies in bed, propped upright, paler than you've ever seen him. His eyes are sharp. Sit. You obey. A pause. Then, this is not the end. You nod. I've endured worse. You nod again. But if it is... He coughs. Once. Dry. Violent. If it is, the crown passes to you. You know this. I do. Then know this too, they will not wait. They will smile, then circle. Like hounds. He takes a breath. I taught you many things. Some harsh. Some wrong. But I never lied. You say nothing. His gaze flickers. You don't have to be like me. But you must be something. Indecision is what kills kings. Silence. Then softer. I wanted to make you hard. So you wouldn't break. But perhaps I only made you silent. You want to speak. But the words don't rise. He closes his eyes. You think he's asleep. Then, there is a letter. In the black chest. For your brother. You blink. Why not give it to him yourself? If I could. He trails off. You stay there long after his breath evens out. Listening. Not for death. For weakness. For truth. For the moment the torchlight flickers just slightly longer. Outside, the sky bruises into night. Inside, the fire dies inch by inch. And no one adds wood. The prison is beneath the kitchens. Few know the passage. Fewer speak of it. Even fewer return. You take no torch. Just a lantern. Dim, smoky. Enough to see steps. Not enough to see faces. Thierry meets you halfway down. I thought you might come, he says. Curiosity kills more than crowns. You don't answer. The stairs spiral. The air thickens. Smells like rust and wet stone. Somewhere below, a rat screams. Or laughs. There are 4 cells. Only one is occupied. A man. Old. Thin. Not broken, but cracked in all the ways men can be cracked without falling apart. He stands when you appear. He does not bow. You're him, he says. The younger. The one they say is soft. You stay silent. I knew your grandfather, he adds. He had me beaten for a cough. Said weakness was contagious. You approach the bars. Why are you here? The man smiles. I asked the wrong question. At the wrong time. To the wrong priest. You glance at Thierry. He shrugs. You wanted to see, he says. So see. The prisoner steps closer. Do you think you're different? He asks. Better? Kinder? You don't respond. Kindness in a king is like a leak in a hall. Looks small. Drowns everything. You step back. He laughs. Not madly. Just like someone who's seen too much. As you turn to leave, he calls out. They'll carve your name in marble. But they'll never speak it aloud. The door slams behind you. Stone on stone. Back above ground, the sun is setting. Thierry walks beside you. He was a chancellor once. He says. Brilliant. Honest. Dead men usually are. You say nothing. But that night you dream of a wall with your face carved into it. No eyes. No mouth. Just a name. Half erased by rain. The room is quieter than before. Not from peace. From preparation. The windows are shuttered again. The fire is down to embers. Only one candle burns, and even that one flickers like it's unsure whether to stay. You sit beside the bed. Your father breathes slowly now. Each inhale a negotiation. He hasn't spoken in a day. A physician waits by the door. A monk by the wall. No one else. Then, without warning, his hand moves. He reaches for you. Weak, barely lifting. But enough. You take it. He does not squeeze. But he does not let go. His eyes open. Not fully. Just enough to find you. For the first time, they are not judging. He mouths something. No sound. You lean closer. 3 words. Barely audible. Not like me. You nod. A tear tries to rise. You push it back. I won't be. His hand twitches once. Then stills. The monk steps forward. Begins a prayer. The physician bows his head. You remain seated. You don't cry. You don't speak. You sit until the candle goes out. In the dark, something shifts in your chest. Not sorrow. Not yet. Responsibility. Like a stone. Cold, certain, heavy. The next morning, the bells ring. They do not toll like before. They do not mourn. They announce. A new reign begins. But the boy does not rise. The boy is gone. Only the man remains. And he is already tired. The throne feels smaller than it should. Not in size. In silence. You sit straight back, clothed in formal black. The weight of the circlet on your brow is nothing compared to the eyes upon you. Dozens of them. Courtiers. Barons. A bishop. 3 foreign envoys. And Thierry, just out of reach. They await your first words. Not as son. Not as prince. As king. You breathe once. Then speak. Today we mourn. But we do not pause. Murmurs. Nods. The bishop bows his head. We have enemies without and rot within. I will not promise peace. I will promise vigilance. You scan their faces. Looking for doubt. Looking for calculation. You see both. I am not my father, but I carry what he taught. A longer silence. I will not rule by fear, but neither will I be ruled by comfort. Then you rise. My brother remains under my protection. Those who approach him with schemes will answer to me. You look directly at Baron Barak. He blinks. Once. My word is final. My court is watched. And my patience is shorter than my shadow. You leave before they can clap. In the corridor, Thierry waits. He walks with you, matching your pace. They believed you, he says. Do you? He thinks. I believed the tone. You both laugh. Quietly. Briefly. Was it too much? You ask. No. But you'll need a second act. I already have one in mind. You do. It involves letters. A rider to the east. A refusal to a marriage offer. And a name you haven't spoken in weeks. Isabeau. For the first time in days, your steps feel forward-facing. And the crown doesn't feel quite so cold. You write the letter at midnight. No scribe. No advisor. Just ink, cold hands, and a candle that drips too fast. The first draft is too formal. The second too raw. The third you keep. You don't seal it with wax. Only a fold. A sign it's meant to be opened by eyes, not by protocol. You give it to a courier before dawn. Ride east, you say. Do not stop at the outposts. Do not hand it to anyone but her. The rider nods. Does not ask who. That's why you chose him. Then you wait. 3 days. 4. 5. On the 6th, a package arrives. Inside, a book. Not old. Not rare. Just familiar. The same one she held the first time you saw her. Margins filled with notes. Questions. Doodles of stars and faces. Tucked inside is a single page. No greeting. Just, you don't need to ask permission. Just don't forget why you're asking. And a chess piece. This time, the queen. You place it beside the bishop. And stare at both for a long time. Later, Thierry notices. You're building an army of ivory? He asks. No, you reply. I'm building a strategy. He grins. Careful. That sounds dangerously like ambition. You return to your desk. And start writing again. This time, not to her. But to the Chancellor of the Eastern Provinces. Because kindness is no longer just a memory. It's a weapon. And you finally know how to aim it. The petition arrives on a Thursday. 3 barons. 1 monastery. A request to raise taxes in the southern grain regions. Justified by drought. Disguised as necessity. You read it twice. Thierry shrugs. It's routine. Your father signed worse. You hold the parchment longer than you should. Then decline? Not in silence, but with ink. We do not starve the soil and expect it to bloom. The room goes still. That afternoon, the abbot sends you a letter. Veiled, polite, unnerving. Mentions tradition. Mentions disobedience. Mentions saints who died for less. You write nothing back. 2 nights later, a barn burns in the south. No deaths. But the message is clear. Thierry watches you read the report. Well? He asks. You look out the window. We rebuild it. Quietly. With our own coin. He raises an eyebrow. You're rewarding insubordination. No. I'm starving the fire of oxygen. Thierry nods slowly. You're learning. The next morning, a farmer's boy arrives at the gates. Muddy. Out of breath. Carries nothing but a folded scrap. It reads, Keep planting. We are not forgotten. Signed only, the crown. You keep the note. And send the boy back with boots, a meal, and enough seed for 3 fields. Because the South will remember. And soon, So will the barons. The feast is grand. Too grand. Roasted swan. Musicians from the coast. Gold cloth strung like banners. 1,000 candles melting slowly into the table. You sit at the center. Crowned, robed, surrounded. To your right, Thierry. To your left, the Duke of Varn, a man who smiles like a blade and drinks like a spy. The guests toast. The laughter is too loud. The food too rich. Something is wrong. Halfway through the meal, a servant trips. Wine spills. On you. Everyone freezes. The servant stammers apologies. Yum. Thin. Shaking. You rise slowly. I am not burned, you say. Nor offended. You remove the outer robe. Sit back down. The feast resumes. But your eyes never leave the Duke. He didn't flinch. Didn't glance. As if he knew. Later, in the corridor, Thierry intercepts you. 2 of the staff are missing, he says. Gone before the feast ended. Poison? You ask. Unlikely. But something was tested. You nod. He wanted to see what I'd do. Or not do. Thierry's expression hardens. He's drawing lines. You'll have to cross one soon. You return to your chambers. Inside, a note. No seal. No signature. Just a sentence. The next robe may be flames, not fabric. You stare at it. Then toss it into the fire. Let it burn first. Not you. You rise before dawn. No ceremony. No heralds. Just the scrape of boots and breath that clouds in the morning chill. You walk alone to the battlements. Below, the city begins to stir, chimneys puffing smoke, carts creaking into markets, bells ringing for the nameless dead. You think of your brother, still asleep. Of Thierry watching. Of Isabeau, somewhere east, folding pages in a library no one dares enter. A captain joins you. There's word from the southern coast, he says. The Duke of Varn has moved his banners. Slowly. But publicly. You nod. And? The council awaits your word. You stare toward the horizon. The sky is pale and sharp. Birds scatter like ink across a parchment sky. Let them wait. The captain leaves. You remain. Because this is the moment. Not a coronation. Not a war. A stillness. You reach into your cloak. Pull out 2 chess pieces. The bishop. The queen. You place them on the cold stone ledge. Then walk away. Not as a king made by death. Not as a boy crowned by silence. But as a man who finally chooses to act. And chooses who to become. Even if the game has already begun. And even if he never gets to finish it.